September 18th, 2020, the year that will never, ever end. It's a terrible year, but it's a great year because Friday Night Lights is back with a vengeance, right, Wally? With a vengeance. We're here. It's a new season. We've had so much football in the space of, I don't know, like 3 months, whatever it's been. Depressing year. Terrible, terrible year. So much football, though. Things to like. Things to give thumbs up to. This is Friday Night Lights. This is the game. These guys, I'm going to ask them some questions. They're going to give me their answers. They're going to be good answers. They're going to be bad answers. If they're good answers, they'll get a thumbs up. Player with most points on the board at the end, they're going to be our winner. We got a couple of changes this season. Season 2, Friday Night Lights, 2020. Great year, bad year. Bad year, great year. So many things happening. Different rules. We're going to get to halftime. Whoever's in last place in halftime, they're going to have to go. They're going to have to go. Bad year, 2020. They're going to have to go. It's going to be 1-on-1 after halftime. I've spoken too much. Let's do introductions. Wally, who are you? Where are you? What are you drinking? How do we reach you on social media? How's your 2020 going, Wally?
It's going, pretty decent. And I'm here in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, right pretty close to John. And we were at Stowe's last weekend, hanging out, watching the tremendous performance by my favorite Ryan Fredericks. And Katie even complimented him, so it was a great time. Anyway, I'm drinking vodka and tonic, so cheers.
That is, Wally, you're normally much more adventurous than that. Wally is our adjudicator. He's going to be keeping the scores. He's going to be booting out that person at halftime. Things have changed. 2020. Everything's crazy. You just don't know what's going to hit you. So, Wally, I'm going to boo you first. I'll see you back in the green room. We'll catch you at halftime. Let's go around. It's good to see everybody. Bad year. Great year. Kevy Kev. Who are you? Where are you? What are you drinking?
I'm Kevy Kev. I run the West Ham supporters group Columbus E13 in beautiful downtown Columbus, Ohio. I am drinking Arizona Just Tea, plain old iced tea. Although my glass is out of reach, I may have to run over and get that when other people are doing the intros.
It's all good. You gotta wet the whistle. It's 2020.
I got to stay hydrated here. I have a feeling this is going to be a stiff competition.
We're looking forward to a good one. Sally, normally my Wednesday night partner with Lee. Do you need an introduction? I think people know you, Sally. But who are you? Where are you? How do we get you? How do we reach you? What are you drinking?
Pierre, Celestin, all the way out here in Aurora, Colorado. You can reach me my Twitter handle, Pierce_Selly. I got a nice little glass of OJ. And if you see me eating, I'm having some ramen soup. 2020 has been good. I'm back in school and working. So I just got back not even an hour ago from school, or from work, rather. So that's why I'm trying to chow down. But, I'm excited to be here.
Good stuff. Glad to have you, Sally. I'm sure that would probably be a beer, but your time difference is very different from us here on the East Coast. So Sally's in 2019. Great year. Great year.
Yeah. We're still fighting relegation in 2019. So not much has changed, I see.
Tommy, good to see you. Tommy's in 2021. He's a couple of hours ahead of us. Much better year, I hope, Tommy. How's 2021?
Oh, you don't know what you're missing, to be honest. This is going to go down as an absolute vintage year. Much better than where you are. So I'm doing great, thanks. But people want to reach me on social media. I'm basically just on Twitter. So @Tomster36. And 2020, like you say, has been a bit of a shit show. But it wasn't until this year I truly understood the Chinese curse. May you live in interesting times.
That we certainly do. And let's get into our interesting questions. How's that segue? 2020, anything can happen. Segues. So, obviously, there's been a lot of speculation about Declan Rice's future at the club. Everybody's talking about it. Something could happen. Something may not. X is tweeting about it. Something could happen. You wouldn't blame him. What's your best argument for why he should stay at West Ham? What is the best reason of why Declan Rice should stay exactly where he is? Sully, let's start with you.
Because he's the future captain of the club. You know, whenever Mark Noble goes off, he's the one that gets the armband, and it's not really too much of a decision. I think the only other person you could really see get the armband is Ogbonna. You know, but Rice's future Hammer of the Year, probably multiple Hammer of the Year, to be honest. One of the few players right now that you can see puts in 100% work rate from starting whistle to finishing whistle. He's English international, and the sky's the limit for him, honestly.
Sky is the limit, and that's why I do wonder if he is going to stick around. Tommy, what's the best reason he should stay?
I'll tell you what, I think possibly the best reason he should stay is that he's playing in a position with us where he's guaranteed basically to be a defensive midfielder every game. It's gotten him in the England team. He plays every single week. As Sally said, he's going to get the armband at some point. He's going to get the contract he deserves sooner rather than later. And Lampard could play him at centre-back. And, I think he'd be miserable there because he's grown so much as a defensive midfielder in his time with us that now he's starting to get forward, carry the ball, go past people, get shots off, score brilliant goals like he did against Watford. Sometimes it's better to know what side your bread is buttered. A lot of players have gone to Chelsea and big clubs from smaller clubs, and it's never worked out for them for various reasons. And they find that actually maybe I was better off where I was. So I think that there are things to consider, albeit I still think he would leave. But the main reason, obviously, is because Chelsea are rent buys everywhere they go.
I'm going to give you that thumb for the point about knowing where your bread is buttered. Chelsea have certainly ruined a few players, and especially some England hopefuls as well. Kev, best reason?
Well, first of all, I want to say I think I'm not going to be able to hold a candle to those first two sets of answers. But I really agree with everything Tommy said for sure, and Sally too. But to me, you got to leave from the party with who brought you there. So the fact is, I think he's gonna. I think that he has, although it might be maybe not warranted at this point, like these past couple weeks, he has an allegiance to the club because they've supported him to this point, and he's going to stay there because of that. All the other things have already been said. He's going to get the best play time. He's going to get the best play position at West Ham. If he ends up going to Chelsea, he's going to. He doesn't want to play like a full-time defensive position for sure. So as far as his reasons for staying at the club, that's where I would go with it.
Kevin, let's stay with you here. So say you're Declan Rice. You are the man. It's 2020. Mm-hmm. You just went into his body. You're Declan Rice. What's your best argument for why you should leave?
Well, I think the past couple of weeks have shown us why almost anybody on the team might want to leave. I can tell you this. I get a lot of my across the pond kind of intel from my buddy Thomas, who runs the West Ham Experience, and he hits me up on WhatsApp and Drunken Stupors during the football games, and he was like, he calls me the eternal optimist as far as like what goes on with the team. But lately with the team, such incredible emotional turmoil and him like following suit and retweeting what Noble said about Diangana and everybody on the planet, including the press now being on the GSB out team. He basically said, and I agree with him, who would want to stay at the club? You know what I mean? I mean, it's a shit show right there, especially in the locker room. It's got to be a mess. The captain can't come out and say something like that. Not that I think that he shouldn't have. I think he should have. That shows that he's actually a leader in there. But if that's the heartbeat of what's going on in there, and his face after he left the game this past weekend. Wow. How is everybody feeling in there? I mean, it's got to be bad. And if anything, you don't want to stay at the party at the house that's burning down. That's all.
Tommy.
Yeah, look, he needs to progress his career, obviously. Currently, unfortunately, he's at a club that's going nowhere, except possibly the Championship. For him, I think, to really fulfill his potential as a player, he needs to be playing somewhere where he's got better players around him, where he's playing in Champions League, because that'll bring him on a ton. And as good as he is now, I mean, playing at the top level will see him flourish. And by the time he's 24, he's just going to be an unbelievable player. He's obviously, ambitious. He wants to win some trophies. He wants to have the best possible career. And frankly, some of his talents deserves to. So whether it's Chelsea or another top club, he needs to be there. He needs to be around players who are as talented as he is. If he's going to really be the player that he can be, because his ceiling at West Ham is probably pretty much reached at this point, and he's going nowhere right now at West Ham, unfortunately. I'd love to be able to say we're a club headed in the right direction that can help him to fulfill any of his ambitions, but unfortunately it's not the case. So I think probably with our understanding, he would be better off, frankly, at Chelsea.
Sally, you're Declan Rice. Why are you leaving?
I'm leaving because the West Ham were promised, next level, stadium, next level, Champions League, competing for trophies, big time namings on players, stuff like that. And ever since West Ham has been into the London Stadium, Chelsea's won the league once. They've won the FA Cup. They've won the Europa League. And they have signed, big name players from other countries. So pretty much every year that West Ham has moved from the Bowling Ground, Chelsea has been winning trophies. So I want to go to get some nice silverware for myself. If I'm playing center back, cool. If I'm winning a trophy every season, for a different league around the world, okay. If I'm winning trophies for Chelsea, I'm pretty sure my spot in the England national side is not going to be up for competition. So I think that's the biggest reason right there is just to get some silverware, and they've been doing that.
It's a big draw. And who knows, though, 2020, anything could happen. Maybe he stays, maybe he goes. And that's kind of what the next question points at, and that is look into your crystal ball. Fantasize a world in which coughing isn't scorned upon. And how will he be remembered by West Ham fans 20 years from now? Tommy, I think you're first.
Yeah, look, I think he'll be fondly remembered. Declan isn't an Arnautovic. He's not a Payet. He's not going to, if he doesn't get his way, he's not going to throw his toys out of the pram. He's not going to refuse to train or anything like that. I think he will act right. He will leave. It will very likely be to Chelsea. It may even be in the next week. Hopefully not, but we'll see. But he'll be remembered as just possibly the best player our academy has produced in quite some time. He's already loved, and I don't think he's going to act in any way that will change that. So when he does go, he'll do it in the right way, and I think his love for West Ham will remain. I don't think he's going to be like Frank Lampard was. I think he'll be more like Joe Cole. Even when Joe Cole left, when he was playing for Chelsea, he would always ask about the West Ham result after the game. Still loved the club, showed respect towards the fans, and I think Declan Rice will do that too. So I think Declan will always be loved and respected by the fans. Let's be honest, nobody's going to blame him for leaving for greener pastures. So we've got fans who are almost done with the club, and that takes a hell of a lot for fans to be done with a club. So for a player like Declan to want to move on and improve his career is understandable. And I think the fans will always really love Declan Rice. And who knows, maybe we'll do a West Ham, in 10 years' time and bring him back as a 31-year-old for his final big contract in the Premier League to end his career where it began. So I think we'll always love and respect Declan.
Sally, 20 years from now, how do we look at Declan Rice?
Yeah, I think very positively. He's one of the players that, for the club that's, pretty much centered around, at least for the fans, hard work. You see that evidently every time he touches the pitch. From the first time he came on there, like I said earlier, he plays at a full motor. That he's one of the few names, and by few I mean probably 2 or 3 that is going to be on that starting 11 sheet every week. And that position, honestly, is his to lose. And I don't think it's any coincidence that our next captain is in the same position as our current captain. In the sense of he's in the midfield, he can control everything, he can get his voice heard by everybody. And 20 years from now, when there's pregame events or whatever, people are still going to want to hear about his time at West Ham. They probably want to hear his insight on the whole Arnautovic thing and Paya and all that good stuff. But excuse me. Yeah, there's no reason for fans to have any ill will towards him, because he's done nothing but produce for the club.
Kev, 20 years from now, what's going on? We naming a standout for him because he stayed? What's going on?
I think that he is going to stay. Obviously there's a lot of speculation and stuff and all kinds of crazy rumors. And a little later on, I want to take a peek under Tommy's jersey and see if there's a Chelsea badge right there.
Oof.
It just
I'm
sounds.
gonna give you a thumb just for the balls. Go ahead.
But I'm sure there's not. But I'm just saying, it sounded so much like some of the the stuff you hear in the tabloids and stuff. But who knows? Some of that stuff might be true. Obviously, it might not be. But 20 years from now, I don't think he's going to leave. Good Lord, I hope he doesn't in the next week. When it all depends on the other things. There's just such a soup of negativity at the club with everything from the board to what's going on with the players, the transfer window, everything. And the weird thing is you haven't really seen a whole lot of him since he didn't play in any of the preseason games because he had an injury, right? But then all of a sudden he's playing in some of the England games, played so-so in those games. And he definitely played so-so or less than so-so in our game last week. But I think that he's probably going to be heavily under the tutelage of both Mark Noble, who already knows that Declan's the next captain there. I don't think that he wants to throw that away. And Stuart Pearce, who also said that he said that Pierce has had more effect on his progression of play at the Premier League level since he came out of the academy than any other coach. He's got both of those guys there at the club he's at, and I think that he has real passion. Selly was talking about whether or not he has a thirst for trophies. I mean, every player has a thirst for trophies and glory, but I don't really think, and this is totally speculation, I don't really think that's what drives Declan. I think that, what did he say about, that one time they were playing at Wembley and he walked in and he had this comment where, last thing I remember was beating the Spurs in here. I don't know if you remember that. That was a big quote, and he was laughing about it. He loves West Ham United. He embodies what the club needs to be. You know what I mean? That level of commitment, that level of passion, that level of care for what you're doing and playing for the badge. I tell you what, like I said, he really doesn't. I don't know what's going to happen, but good Lord, I hope he doesn't leave, because if he can't, at his youthful age, rub off on some of the constant flow of international talent that come there because of a big paycheck, then we're lost forever. You know what I mean? We need the youth. You know what I mean? But at the same time, if he does leave, I think that a lot of the fans might side with what Wilshire tweeted about Grady, about going off and playing for a club that respects you.
I'm not getting into that. I'm just asking you what the fans think in 20 years. I think we've got your answer. I'm moving on to the next one. I'm Paxman in this. Controlling it. 2020.
Go ahead.
Let's get on to the transfer window. Moyes. It's got a decent amount of support from the fans. After an atrocious transfer window, there's very little backing. But let's be honest here, we have a very rough first 8 games. What are we playing, like top 7 in the first 8 from last season? Does Moyes still have support of the fans if we lose all 8 games? And I'm going to start with you, Kev. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I think 100% he still has support of the fans. Everybody knows that these games are going to be brutal. I hope we get a point or 2 or 3 maybe out of some of all of those games, but I'm not expecting a lot. I don't think that a lot of West Ham fans are expecting a lot. Like I said, the soup of negativity of what's going on with the club, the speculation about possible sales, people coming in, people going out. And Noble came out the day after the fixtures were announced and was just like, well, we've been done hard again. Look at this schedule. It's going to be terrible. So I don't think that the fans are going to hold Moyes responsible for subpar results, maybe subpar performances. Like if the guys aren't coming out with heart, maybe he'll get some criticism, but results, I mean, you're playing the best teams in the league. So what can you expect?
Point. Tommy, you agree with that, or what do you think? Does he still have support after 8 losses?
I think it's going to be mixed. He has a lot of support right now because, a lot of us, let's be honest, feel sorry for him because he's having to do this job in very difficult circumstances. The board are trying to foist players on him that he's never heard of, doesn't know, because Sullivan's agent buddies know these players or have them on their books, and he's basically saying, no, I don't want those crap players that your fucking agents want to push on the club.
Where's Mauro Zarate showing up?
Yeah. So, if we lose all of the games, again, I think Kev is right in what he was saying, basically, that I think it will depend more on the performances than the results. We all know these are all very, very difficult games. Even in a good season, we might not win any of those games. So I think a lot will depend on the performances. If we go out and play well, play with heart, play with tempo, intensity, and really have a go at trying to win each game, then I think Moyes will maintain a pretty high level of support. He will lose some, obviously, because how fans get angry when they keep losing games, no matter who it's against. So he'll lose some.
But the trying to win piece, I think, is probably key there as well. It's not even just good performances. We've got to give some games a go. Sally, where are you? We win 8, we lose 8, and is he in deep trouble? He's getting the sack, or has he still got some fan support?
So there's 2 things to this that I think are really interesting. One is West Ham love to give it a go when they play the top teams in the league, and that's whether we're good, whether we're bad. West Ham always likes to try to make somebody's day bad. You almost beat Liverpool in Liverpool last year, and all that good stuff. We lost 1-0 away to Manchester City when we probably should have won or at least drawn. So we love to play spoiler, but I think as far as David Moyes is concerned, I don't think there's ever been a manager in the history of sports ever that's had the biggest pass that David Moyes has right now. Because 1, fans know David Moyes has no support. 2, if David Moyes gets relegated, guess what? His contract's up at the end of the season. He's out anyways. Mm-hmm. So I think regardless, if the teams – he's playing with house money essentially. So if we win 4 out of 8 games, 3 out of 8 games – beautiful. Nobody expected it. Just don't get knocked out by Hull, and we're coasting. But at the same time, if the team is doing terribly anyways, there's no need to fire him. He's gone at the end of the year regardless. So I think as frustrating as it might be for him, I'm not going to be mad at him if the team, unless the team was getting rolled 4 or 5-0 every week. I don't think fans are going to feel bad for him at all.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, there was certainly that stretch there. It must have been 9-10 games with Pellegrini where things just looked terrible, and he still got the time. So, and that was against lesser opposition as well. Speaking of transfer market. Second question, 2020. We're apparently broke, right? I mean, we haven't signed anybody. It's been pretty atrocious, and apparently we need to sell to buy. So pick 2 players to sell that will generate at least 30 million. Who are they, and why are you selling them? Sally. Name's Sally. Sell them.
Well, I mean, I guess, 2 players you'd have to choose. You would just hope that we would sell them for a combined 30 million, seeing as how the board loves to sell players on the cheap. But I think generating 30 million, wow. Let's say Declan stays. I'm selling Anderson and I'm selling Diop. No, I take it back. I'm selling Anderson and Diop. Yeah, that's 30 million right there. And the only reason I was hesitant on Diop is because that means you have to trust Balbuena with that spot. I'm not sold. But Anderson, he looked great about 5-6 games into the season that we bought him. He was the nutmeg king. He was great. We had that same feeling for him that we did for Lanzini during the last season at the Bolin. And then the second season comes and he's nowhere to be found. He didn't even get hurt. Got selected to the Brazil national squad, which is no easy feat. And ever since then, I feel like he's had an ego where he's like, okay, well, I'm above this club now because I'm, a Brazil first teamer. And he's been nowhere to be found. It's nice that he scored against Charlton. Maybe that gives him some more confidence. But him and Diop too, because you could definitely sell Diop with the pitch of his potential is still yet to be reached. So I think those 2 combined give you a good one. And you could easily sell Anderson to a team like Arsenal, he would thrive. Liverpool, he would thrive. Either Manchester team, he would thrive because pressure's not on him to produce. Just be there, give service, maybe get a goal or 2, and there's your paycheck.
Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Sully there. I mean, if we could get 30 million for Anderson and Diop, fine. I would happily take 30 million for both. So that's my answer. But I just don't. We're definitely not getting 30 million for Anderson. So whether we could get 30 for Diop even remains to be seen. We might not be able to get that for him either. So, realistically, if you had to have the money and had to sell 2 players for north of 30, I'm wondering, do we have 2 players? Obviously Rice, right? So, but you wouldn't want to sell him.
Combined. So the two of them generate 30 million if you sell them both.
Okay, if you can get 30 million combined, sell Lanzini and Anderson. I don't think either. Well, neither of them have been much good for some time now. I've been done with Anderson for a while. He does not perform very often at all. It's actually just a surprise now to me if he played well in a game, and he really looked like the Anderson of old. He's just completely unreliable. Can't get a performance out of him. I'm not sure he even wants to be there, frankly. So get rid of him straight away. Lanzini, pretty much the same. I don't know what it is with him. He just does not perform. This is not a talent issue. The talent is there in both of them. And I know there are some people that are still happy to kind of wait around. It's like that. It's like that girl who's with that guy for ages and ages, and he just hasn't popped the question, but she's still hanging on. And one day he'll ask me, and he just never asks, but she keeps hanging on. He's going to ask me. He'll marry me, I promise. But it never happens. And I feel like that with Anderson and Lanzini. The possibility is there, but it just never happens. So I'd be very happy to get rid of both of those.
Keep it down. My girlfriend's upstairs. Kev, who are you selling?
I'd probably go Lanzini and Diop. I'm not sure you get 30 million out of the 2 of them, but Lanzini, I agree 100% with Tommy. He's like, to me, Lanzini already, like, since he's come back from that major injury, he's just not the same. I think he plays in a nervous way. He doesn't take the chances that he needs to. But I still think that other teams would be attracted to the magic that he generated in like the last year at the Bolian and like, during that period before he got hurt. So I think you could get good money for him. I'm not really sure he's interested to play in there anymore either. I follow both of these guys on Instagram. You know what I mean? So Lanzini loves to post pictures of himself. I mean, who doesn't? But Anderson is the worst at that. And I want to dislike Anderson, but I can't get it out of my mind what he did those first couple of games when he very first came in. And then also his one goal last year that was literally like the fight was like bridge over the River Kwai for him to get to the goal. Like I was amazed. So I think that there's something there still for Anderson. I think there's gas in the tank left. Diop, I think he's no matter what, I've seen him get burnt over and over and over again. So, but he's young, so I think he could generate some money. But I think he's really just looking for the outside possibility of scoring, so he could throw up his symbol and get some Instagram pictures. I need him out of there.
Yeah, Diop is hanging on by potential at this point, if you ask me. He's so shocking in the air for a centre back. It's ridiculous, and he's got a mistake in him, as you said. Let's get to the last question before halftime. And just a reminder, I have no idea what the scores are. I've been throwing thumbs around all over the place. Whoever's in last place will drop out. I don't know if this is racist, but I'm going to start with you, Tommy. What type of potatoes should be on the breakfast menu?
Very good. I think if you have to have it, now personally, I don't think potatoes have any business being involved in breakfasts.
That's okay. That's a good viewpoint.
They're a dinner item. But if you're holding my feet to the fire, I mean, you just got to go with the hash brown. I guess it's a staple at this point for some people for their breakfasts. I don't see how you could have like boiled potato or mash or anything like that with your damn breakfast. I mean, that would just be weird. I mean,
you don't have box tea?
It's hash brown. Huh?
You're not big on the box tea?
No clue what that is.
Oh, God. I'll have to revoke your Irish card. I'm going to get my nan round to your place.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? Do you know what I'm going to say? I just thought of, which I think is absolutely as acceptable as a hash brown. Waffle. I know you have waffles in the US. I don't know if they're the same thing, but potato waffles,
That's interesting.
They're amazing. You can toast them and put butter on those babies. I mean, they're amazing. So definitely, if I have to have some form of potato in my breakfast, I'm going with the potato waffle.
Listen, Tommy, your passion alone is worth it for the waffle passion. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm going to have to send you a recipe for box tea. It's just leftover mashed potatoes, and I think you'll put some kale in it in the morning and make some pancakes. Kev, potatoes at breakfast, good, bad, indifferent? What are we going with, man?
Well, I'm a diabetic, so I don't eat potatoes anymore for breakfast. But getting to the point where I realized I was a diabetic, I love potatoes for breakfast. And if you have to go with one, and every once in a while I still do, it has to be not just a hash brown. It has to be a McDonald's hash brown.
That's classy. That's classy. What's so good about it?
Well, you can hold it in your hand because it comes in a white paper thing. Actually, it might be wax. I'm not really sure. Keeps the grease off your fingers. You can eat it while you're driving. It's awesome. You don't need ketchup on it. It's got so much salt on it. It's already going to put you in the hospital with a heart attack. It's wonderful.
Or you can join the rest of us in the 21st century and use a knife and fork.
Americans don't use knives. They don't. I don't know what it is over here, but they just don't. Sally.
Oh, man, yeah. So if it's coming down to breakfast, it's got to be potatoes O'Brien. And for anybody who doesn't know what potatoes O'Brien are, you dice up some potatoes, get you some red pepper, green pepper, onion, put a little bit of black pepper on there, and whatever else you might want. And, yeah, man, it's perfect. It goes with everything. Fills you up, tastes great, and it's fantastic. And that right there is the potato that you have to have for breakfast. And I love hash browns. Don't get me wrong. My diner hash browns are the best, but potatoes O'Brien are where it's at for breakfast.
So I'm a home fried guy. O'Brien.
Oh, lovely. More racism. This is brilliant. We have a new potato dish. What should we call it? I don't know. Just use a random Irish surname. They love their potatoes.
That's exactly
What they want.
Potatoes O'Brien. Just
It's
because you had O'Brien in the end doesn't make it Irish. It sounds like
No, I
some
never
weird
claimed they were
American
Irish. I just
concoction.
claimed they were delicious.
Listen, Joey himself brought it over here when they were on tour. It's legit. It's good stuff.
Yeah.
Oh God, Wally, what potatoes are you having, Wally? It's Saturday tomorrow. You're going to be doing a breakfast feast, aren't you?
Well, absolutely. The only potato for breakfast is the home fry. You got to have home fries.
Fries.
And you got to go to Waffle House, where they do not. I've never heard of waffle potatoes, but they have. They have home fries where they stick them on the grill and they kind of sit there with all the debris and mix in with the fat and everything, and then they scoop throw it on your plate. That's the best home fries.
I'm with you, Wally. So I always order home fries, well done. They got to be well done with peppers and onions. Got a little crispiness to it and the butter on the grill. Absolutely. Anyway, you get the privilege of booting somebody from the room. So what's the scores and how are we doing at halftime here?
Well, we have one person clearly out front. It's the silver-tongued Irishman, Tommy. And then he has 15 likes. And then Kevin with 12 and Selly with 11. So
Selly.
I blame Tim. I was not able to get prepared. It's all Tim's fault.
He's in the chat, so maybe jump over there and just start giving some abuse. Sally, I'm going to kick you out. It's been great having you.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wally, I'm going to kick you out as well. Thank you. We'll see you at full time. We've got a couple more questions left. 15 likes. I don't think I've given that out at all. I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling generous. 2020. 2020. Just generous, John. Anyway. Where are you? I'm going to remove you and let's get back into the other questions. That's not a good view. That's not a good view. That's a better view. All right. Second half. We're done with potatoes. Let's talk about takeovers. So, plenty of rumors about a takeover. American consortium, Chinese consortium, British consortium, David Sullivan's cousins. Who knows? Somebody's coming for us. It's in the news. What makes you think the rumor is true about a consortium coming in for us? Kev, let's start with you.
The Trip Smith connection with an American consortium backed by the guy from CAA. I can't remember that guy's name. That seems likely to me. CAA obviously is an enormous company. Like I don't know if you guys know it. I've got a lot of friends in the entertainment industry and stuff, and they are like agents for like super mega movie stars as well as owners of sports teams over here. And I think that the fact that Trip, being a 10% owner, could order an audit of the club, meaning he could give up privileged financial information that probably Sullivan and Gold would want a potential buyer to know about. I think that line, that just makes sense to me. Like if it's going to happen, I think that is how it could happen, because these guys are looking to cash out. They want to cash out at a number that's not just what they wanted to be, but also covers whatever penalties that they'd have to pay, but before by selling the club before whatever it is, 2023 or 2024. So I think it's true. I just think that they're being greedy.
So I appreciate the point. I don't know if that's true or not, that him having a big piece of the board would trigger an audit, but I'm going to give you a thumb for that because I like the line of thought, and there's got to be some thought into, at the very least, he would have some kind of interest or insight into what's going on behind the scenes and could possibly be part of something bigger somewhere else. Tommy, why is it true?
I think because, the old saying, there's no smoke without fire, and there does seem to be a lot of smoke around this one. It first kind of popped up on Spencer Owen's channel, where this secret agent supposedly was talking about a bid potentially coming. He tweeted with the American flag and West Ham and all that and stuff, and that's kind of where it started. And I was waiting for it to be kind of poo-pooed by X and other people, but X didn't do that. X actually has been saying, yeah, look, there is interest in the club, and the timing is interesting too, because I think if you're somebody who may be looking to buy a Premier League club, I'm sure you'd be very aware that the owners at West Ham are very uncomfortable right now, that they're coming in for a lot of flack, that the financial situation isn't great. We might look like a club that you may be able to get your hands on. Gold and Sullivan maybe are ready to sell up because they're just getting constant criticism and pressure now. Even now from the media, former players, even Mark Noble is pissed off. So, you know, there's a number of sources now that are talking about various interested parties that are looking at the club. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of smoke, and so there may be some fire too.
There is a lot of smoke. We're going to go back to the days of CFAX, where you find out when you find out, I suppose. But what would make you think that it's false? Are there any reasons out there that this information would be put out there falsely? And I'll start with you, Tommy.
Yeah, well, the smoke I just spoke about could be a smoke screen. So, you know, I think Gold and Sullivan are very good at trying to do a little switch and bait. So they come under pressure, they're feeling the heat, and then they do that whole, oh, look over here kind of thing. So they do it with transfers sometimes as well. They try and just make a quick signing to say, oh, look, player signed. They put rumors out there to distract people from various things. So it wouldn't surprise me if this was a smoke screen. You know, the season ticket renewals are not going very well. What can we do to get people to renew their season tickets? Well, if people think there may be new owners very shortly, maybe a takeover, then perhaps people will say, oh, maybe I don't want to give up that season ticket right now. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why.
That's half a thumb. Carry on. I don't know if I fully believe in that argument. Do you think somebody's going to buy a season ticket just because somebody else is coming in?
If people believe there's about to be a takeover and GSB will be gone soon, if not in the next couple of weeks, by the end of the year, or certainly by the end of next season, that they will go, then people might be looking at it going, Jesus, look, if I give up my season ticket now and we get taken over and suddenly there's this huge rush for season tickets, I may find myself without a season ticket, you know, for next season. And we've got these new owners in who suddenly are buying players left, right, and centre and splashing the cash, and I'm going to miss out on it all. So, and it could, like I said, it could also be just to take some of the heat off Gold and Sullivan, because all I've seen really in the last week or so on Twitter from West Ham fans has literally been about this potential takeover bid that might be coming from some place or other, and the heat about the lack of transfers actually just quietened incredibly in the last week. You know, it was nothing but before that. It was all talk about transfer, GSB out, transfers, where's the money, all that stuff. Last week, people have been talking about nothing but this takeover. It's taking the heat off them a bit.
Completely sucked the air out of the room. Kev, any reason it's false?
Really, the only thing I can think of is kind of what Tommy said. Look, we live in an age of disinformation, right? Nothing more poignant than the guy who is running our country over here. So the smoke, as you put it, is there. The only reason that I would think that so much smoke would be false is if it was propagated by the board for some odd reason that they think is going to run to their advantage. They can't fool that many people. The number of pundits that are out there talking about the takeover, and Tommy's also right about the fact that all of the noise about disgruntled fans over the transfer windows and everything else, it's all just been completely eclipsed by the talk of the takeover, especially the potential of a takeover from a consortium no matter where it comes from, that would be looking to build a different stadium instead of staying at London Stadium. To me, that was like some of the most exciting news I've ever heard since I started my supporters group, let alone when I started following West Ham in like 97. So, I mean, look, I spent many time. My wife and I were at the Bullying Ground a lot before, like every trip that we went over there. We've been to one game at London Stadium. It was mind-boggling walking in there. But other than that, the performance of the team was terrible. The walk to the stadium was terrible. The character of everything between Carpenters and the stadium was just fucking awful. And I can't think of any better news. And this goes to the idea of trying to like build up the season ticket renewals. Look, I live in Columbus, Ohio, so I don't know if you guys are quite familiar with what we got going on here, but our football team, the Columbus Crew, was going to be forced into a move by the owner who bought the team a couple of years ago, and with the thought 100% that he was going to be moving the team to Austin, Texas, no matter what. So he makes the announcement thinking that the fans wouldn't give a shit. Then an enormous movement called Save the Crew starts, saves the fucking team, forced an ownership change, found owners who came in, Jimmy Haslam, the guy who owns the Cleveland Browns, along with the team doctor. Those two get together, they buy the team, and now the team is not only staying here, but also building a brand new downtown stadium. I would love to see that kind of synergy for West Ham United. I think that London Stadium is soulless. Everybody who goes there says the same thing. The whole atmosphere around there just completely sucks. Even what they just did with moving the stands in. I mean, they still look really, really far. At least on television, they look far to me. But the idea that they could get a new stadium, that they might come under new ownership, I can see the path. I can see the line, the dots being connected there to where that could potentially help season ticket sales. People don't want to get closed out of the news place. What if the new place isn't a 60,000 seater, you know?
All right, so I'm gonna give you half a thumb for finishing Tommy's argument for him, and I would almost dock you one for using the word synergy, but I'm not going to because I hear it in corporate America continually.
Sorry, I'm old.
I'm just busting with you, man. It's all good. So I hate even asking this question, but if it's not true, what can the board do to regain your support? Kev, have they lost you, or is there anything they can do? How do they win you back?
I mean, honestly, they've lost me. I wasn't full on board with everything that goes on, and I think that mostly it's because I'm an American. I'm not there, even though I feel like my heart is there. I can't feel all the deceit and the weight of the lies that were told to the fans about competing for higher level football and the stadium being West Ham's home and taking precedent. I think that in some ways, those things that they said are largely out of their hands because they don't own the place. Maybe they could be persuaded to do some of those things or have a bigger take in it if they did, but they don't, so they can't fulfill these promises. And on top of everything else, I think now at this point that they're just looking to make some money and get the hell out of there. I mean,
firm no.
Right.
Firm no, huh?
Yeah, no, no.
Can they do anything? Get your support?
No, absolutely nothing. The reason being, largely along the same lines as what Kev was talking about, is what they would need to do to get me on their side. They just don't have the clout to do. They made promises that have not been kept, that David Gold now refers to as hopeful promises. Absolute bullshit term if ever I heard it. So what they would need to do would be to actually fulfill the promises that they made in order to get me back on side. And all that Karen Brady talk, you remember world-class players, world-class stadium, and oh yeah, we could have Champions League in 5 years and all that rubbish. They are incapable of delivering on the promises that they made. Completely incapable. And that is what they would have to do to get me back on side. So essentially, there's nothing they can do. They're not wealthy enough to own a Premier League club and do even close to what they said they were going to do. They might be asset rich, but they're not cash rich. So yeah, there's nothing. I'm done with them. They're used car salesmen, and I want nothing more to do with them. There's nothing they can do to get me back on side. I just want them gone, and that's it. There's no negotiating with me on this at this point. There was a time when they might have been able to turn things around in my head, but now I realize they're actually completely incapable of doing so. So
we're completely
I'm done with
past
them.
that stage, right? We're over all that, and we're not going to have a choice really of who any new owner is going to be. So it could be luck of the draw, or we could get some great ones, we could get some crap ones like we currently have. But what's the most important quality that any new owners need to bring to succeed at West Ham? And that could be on the pitch or off the pitch with the fans. So what's the most important quality that you want out of new owners, Tommy?
For me, it's a certain level of humility. I think the important thing whenever you're at the head of any organization is to have the humility to know what you don't know. Okay? So you need to delegate. It's why you have to have the correct structures beneath you. People who know what they're doing and can fulfill the roles that need to be fulfilled competently. So we've got egomaniac David Sullivan at the top of our tree, who likes to control everything, who thinks he knows what he's doing, no matter what it is, including on signings. And it's why the club is so shoddily run. So whoever the new owners are, I hope they have the common sense to bring in people at each level who have a track record, a proven track record of doing that job and doing it very well. And then we will get a very well-run club from top to bottom. Leicester do it. Leicester's owners came in. They knew what they didn't know. And they put the right people in the right places who could do a great job for the club. So that's ultimately what I would love to see from any potential new owners.
Kev, new owners. What's important?
Well, I totally agree with everything Tommy said. I mean, I'm seeing a real good example of what I'd like to see in a new owner at West Ham with my guys that bought the Columbus Crew. You got to have people. I agree with everything he said about getting people in the right positions to be able to do the right things. But one thing that these owners are seriously lacking that new owners would have to do is listen. I mean, this is a club that is for the people. The fans built this club completely, not just at Upton Park, but as it grew to a global juggernaut, you pretty much couldn't escape becoming a fan if you ever visited that place. It just lived in you from the moment you were there. And they never, it's amazing to me. Gold says he's been a fan since he was a kid. Did he fucking forget? You know what I mean? Like, because like they were always talking about their big strategy to like take the club to the next level, move to London Stadium. And now I see it's like the dumbest thing that they ever could have done. You know what I mean? Like to have left their neighborhood. They should have invested in, I mean, look, I could speculate all day, but new owners would need to listen to the fans of the club, the people who bleed claret and blue. These guys don't listen. You know what I mean? They're not listening to shit. They can't be wrong. So the new guys would have to put the people in the right place, just like Tommy said. I want to give him a leg for that. And then also they got to listen. They have to hear the fans. If things are going the wrong way, the fans will let you know, and things need to be listened to and acted upon. That's it.
I'd give you a thumb for that, but I already gave one for Tommy. So he had the thought.
He deserved it.
But I think you're right. And between the two of you, maybe you take it over and we can have a competent club. And Tommy, that's a word that sticks out to me. After the last 10 years, I just want competency at this point. Just be competent, whoever the hell comes in. So we're going to do a bit of a rapid fire here, going down last question of the night. Last chance to get some points on the board, and then we'll swing back to Wally to see who's winning. Wally, why don't I bring you in now, just so everybody can laugh at your reactions to these. Hopefully they'll be funny. We'll see. We'll do a fun one. 2020 lockdown. It's been great. Everybody was shut in their houses and not allowed to go anywhere for so long. And if you're married to my wife still, I'm not allowed to go anywhere for so long. Lockdown seems a distant memory away, maybe for you, not for me. But it may happen again. It's coming back. At least in Britain, there's places that are going back on lockdown. Wave 2, 2020, great year. Terrible year. I'm going to name a player or ex-player, and you tell me whether or not they would stick to lockdown or if they would break it and why. And the first player that I'm going to name is Ravel Morrison, the Rav. Kev, is he sticking to lockdown or is he breaking it, and why?
I'm going to lose likes on this because I don't know Ravel Morrison. I know everybody else on this list. I don't know Morrison. So I don't know whether I think that he would stay in or go out.
I'm going to give you a
solo goal at Tottenham. Remember the solo goal? His solo goal at Tottenham away. Remember, ran the length of the pitch, skinned everyone.
Oh, that was Morrison?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I have opinions about all the other three guys that we're going to talk about. But, I mean, I just got to be honest. I can't give a bullshit answer. So
I gave you a thumb for being honest. So that's fine. Tommy, Ravel Morrison, is he on lockdown or is he breaking it?
He's breaking it every night of the week. Go on it. Ravel Morrison, discipline, no chance. Ravel Morrison is a free spirit. And the thing with Ravel is, like, there's no malice in it whatsoever. It's not because he's a bad guy or anything like that. He's just a free spirit who just kind of makes bad decisions for a living. And so there's absolutely no chance you're keeping him locked down for weeks on end.
I tend to
sound like Andy Carroll.
There's probably
worse
similarities there. Breaking lockdown or staying at home? Arthur Masuaku, Tommy.
Yeah, tricky one this. Arthur. Does Arthur stay home like a good boy or does he go out? I think, you know what, I think he sticks to it. I think Arthur, like, as long as he's been at the club, I've never known him to cause any kind of a stir for any reason whatsoever. He seems to be like this down the line kind of guy, shows up for training, never whines, never complains, just does what he's supposed to do, even if he can't do it very well. I mean, bless him, he would do his best to stick to it, but he'd probably, accidentally break curfew numerous times. But he would try, bless him.
Kev, Masuaku.
I think that Arthur would. I think that eventually he would just suck it up and stay. I think that it all depends on where he was when he found out that he had to stay. So if he was like sitting in his flat somewhere, he'd probably spit on the TV first and then say "fuck it" and have a seat. And that's it. I don't think he'd go anywhere.
Next player, Snoddy, Robert Snodgrass. Is he staying or is he giving the lockdown a Glasgow kiss? Kev.
Snod stays home, 100%. I think that he is a guy who's full of everything that everybody needs to be. He's a cheerleader for everybody else, but when it comes right down to it, he does what he needs to do to take care of himself and the people around him.
All right, solid answer, Tommy.
Yeah, Snoddy would do it right. Snoddy is leadership material. He's he's very responsible. He would kind of be making sure his friends are doing it right, reminding everyone else to stay in lockdown and do the right thing, be responsible. So yeah, Snoddy's Mr. Dependable. He won't let you down, Snoddy. He'll stick to it, no problem.
I love that. Snoddy's making other people stay at home, not just himself. Beautiful.
Oh, for sure.
All right, last one of the night. This could change everything. It's all down to this. Julian Dix, is he staying home or is he breaking lockdown, Tommy?
He's breaking lockdown and he's never contracting coronavirus. Ever. No matter what he does, he'll get out there, he does what he wants, and fuck coronavirus, and he'll still never catch it because he's the man.
He is the man. Kev.
You don't tell the Terminator what to do. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I agree with Tommy 100%. It's I think he's like made of iron. You know what I mean? So he would say, fuck coronavirus, go out wherever he wants. He'd just be mad at everybody else when he walked out and the streets were empty. He'd be like, what the fuck? Where is everybody? So, yeah, he's breaking it for sure.
I think Dixie would probably 2-footed tackle coronavirus if he saw it. Wally, are you breaking lockdown, Wally? Or what are you in? You're going to be stuck at home for Friday Night Lights every Friday now? Have I got you full time? What's going on?
I plead the fifth. I'm not saying.
Fair enough. How did everybody do? Close game?
Wow, we had some extraordinary large. I think you've been hiding your likes all during the off season, John, because they came out tonight. So we had Kevin with an extraordinary 22 and a half likes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
But still, Tommy takes the win with 28 and a half likes. So, yeah. I mean, I ran out of room marking all these likes.
Nice.
Lockdown's affecting John more than we thought.
Well done.
Yeah.
Apparently, I'm a happier and more generous person. I did not see that coming. But anyway, let me boot you, Kev. Let me boot you, Wally. Tommy, well done. I'll give you your moment of fame to address the West Ham Nation. You got anything to say to them? Anything to cheer them up? 2020.
Oh, Jesus, that's a tough task, isn't it? Not much to be cheerful about at the moment, but I suppose that, as the old saying goes, the only way is up, right? So I think the pressure that's being put on the board is going to tell. So I think their days are numbered at West Ham. So I think let's focus on that. Let's focus on getting them out of our club. Let's force the change that we need. And maybe one day we'll have the club that we deserve. Not about the glory, of course. So we're not going to be Liverpool. We're not going to be City. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe if we're very lucky, we get that those owners that have just got, basically are a country. So a lot of finance behind us. So I still believe one day, it will happen for us, that we'll get owners that we deserve, who run the club very well. So even though it's all doom and gloom right now, I'll just remind people, stay positive, changes are coming, and hopefully it'll be for the better. So I'm very hopeful of that. So I think better things are to come.
Good stuff. Tommy, fantastic. Congratulations on your win. Kev, thank you so much for coming on. Some great answers. Wally, as always, the hostess with the mostess, the host with the most, something like that. Who knows? And we expect you to have more interesting drink next week. Wally, that is your
I'll work on it.
Thank you. So anyway, thanks everybody in the chat room for joining in. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you click the like button, share it, do all those good things. Friday Night Lights is back. 2020. Who knows what's going to happen? It's different. It's changed. It's 2020. It's just that year. So anyway, good to see you all, and we will see you next week. Congratulations, Tommy. Come on, you Irons.
All right.
Come on, you Irons.